So one of the great things about coming to a seminar is that you get the opportunity to be in a room that many like-minded individuals. And one of the biggest mistakes that we usually make is that we come and leave as we came. So it is important for us to develop the skill of networking. So what we're going to start doing is that you're going to first get the chance to know the persons at your tables. And for those of you who are sitting up with the persons that you came in with, from the same organization, I would encourage you to spread out a bit. Network with others. Because your network is equal to your net worth. So I will give you just about 7 minutes to network with as much persons as you possibly can. And those persons with the most business cards, at the end of that networking session, will win a prize. All right, your networking time starts now. And please don't bring your partner's business card. It has to be other companies' business cards. I've not seen any business cards being exchanged. Please don't tell me you came out to a session without your business cards. That is rule 101. Any event that you're going to, always have your business cards with you. So we're going to see how innovative you are. If you don't have your physical business cards, you can still find ways of getting the contact information from the person you're talking to. You have just about 2 more minutes. Should be wrapping up now. 1 minute remaining. All right, 30 seconds. All right. Fantastic. I love the sound I was hearing. So, now let us see who got the most connections. So just check at your tables and see which one of the persons at your table got the most connections. And then that person will be representing that table. All right. Let's go. How many connections? Just check at your tables. How many connections? Who got the most? 8. We have 20 more seconds. All right, good. Networking is finished. Let us get the results in. So we'll start with the first table on my left. What is the highest number at that table? 5? 5. All right, I'll go to the table with Jimmy. Highest number at that table, Jimmy? So it has 8. All right. So I'll go to the table with Hilton. Hilton, what's the highest number at the table? At 9, we're doing independent verification, just so you guys know, right? All right. So we go to the table down to the back. Personal, how many? Most of the persons came in after. 3. All right. And I come to the table in the middle. 2. All right. Now, unfortunately, Selena, because of her affiliation with the company, has been automatically disqualified from participating in the session. But I will give you an A for effort. Congratulations, Selena. All right, so the person with 9 contacts, please come forward and uplift your authentic Action Coach branded pen holder that holds that instrument that you use to sign those checks, that instrument that you use to make money. Imagine protecting it with its authentic pen holder. So please come down and claim your prize, please. All right. Can we have our designated photographer to just make sure that this moment is captured? Right. So the ultimate prize, ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't the pen holder. It was your ability to just expand your network. And for those persons who have made connections, you never know the value that those connections can bring after today. So I trust that you didn't just collect it for the purpose of the exercise, but that you will use it in the future. At this time, it gives me the distinct pleasure to officially welcome each and every one of you to the launch of our cloud-based learning management systems. This afternoon, it is our intention to provide you with an overview of that learning platform, provide you with a sample of what that entails so that it can help you to make an informed decision when it comes to your personal and professional development, also that of your organization. So we trust that you will take in the information and that you will act on it accordingly after our presentation today. To lead us through this aspect of our presentation, it gives me great pleasure to invite our chairman of ActionINVEST Scrivening, Dr. Vishnu Durga. And I will just give a brief, very brief, and for those who know Dr. Durga will know that this is very brief. As the past president, chairman, and counselor of many business support organizations, including the Georgia Chamber of Commerce, and the National Bureau of Standards, Dr. Durga has over 20 years of private sector development experience and service. Coming from a mechanical engineering background, yes, he is now a certified business coach, mentor, and trainer, and also a speaker at various events. Dr. Durga holds an MBA and a doctorate in management specializing in entrepreneurship. So when we think about who to go to when you have a medical challenge, you go to a medical doctor. When you want to think who to come to when you have a business challenge, you come to a business doctor. Please welcome Dr. Vishnu Durga.
Thank you very much, Keon, for those kind words, and welcome to everyone here this afternoon. This session is really meant to have you understand the options that we have in terms of learning. It is the launch of the learning management system, and we've been dabbling in it since 2018, using Moodle, building courses, and it wasn't until COVID blessed us with the opportunity for people to really adapt technology much faster that the demand just went up. And we started to look at, well, how do we make sure that people really benefit from as much of the technology as possible. So we did start off in 2014, November 2014, so last month would be 7 years for ActionINVEST. And just like your own companies as well, we have some veteran companies in here that people know really well. And we also have some companies that are just a couple of years old. I would just tell those companies that are a couple of years old, keep doing the work daily, because that compounds, and then that's when you start seeing the results. I sit with many companies that are 2, 3, 5 years old, and they're just eating up on themselves because they're not getting the results. It takes time. We must be able to put that in them. There are some companies in the room as well that are over 30 years old, and that's still every single day you have to put in the work, right? You can see Hilton in the room. We just won that fantastic writing device protector. That's what we're going to call it. It's all fancy that way. But Hilton is still on the billboards. Hilton is still rubbing shoulders. Hilton is still attending all the conferences. Not because they're also 30 years as well. Doesn't mean that you can just sit back and the results will flow. So it takes work. And just like that for ourselves, we have continued to invest a lot in the team, continuing to grow. We started off as a business coaching company 7 years ago. And in other parts of the world, when you're a business coach, you would recognize that people need training in maybe communication, maybe in sales and marketing. And it is so easy to prescribe. You go to Dale Carnegie or go to this institute or go to the university and do a certificate in that. In Ghana, when we started off, there was no option. We could have just prescribed, well, go to UG and do a certificate course in marketing. If you wanted to go to UG, you either decide to go there for 2 years or 4 years. And in many cases, your job is now waiting for you 2 years or 4 years for you to get better at it. So we very quickly had to also decide, well, we need to provide this training as well to persons who want to move their organizations up. And in many cases, from the owner right now, we work mainly with organizations where the owners want CEOs participate as well. Don't really believe that much in organizations where it is the owners or the managers saying, yes, the staff is the problem. Train the staff, see if that is the problem. A fish always runs from the head. And if you don't believe in training, if you don't demonstrate that I believe it's important for myself and for the other persons as well, then it's very tough for the rest of your organization to buy in and take those steps as well and do the learning that is necessary. So we started off as Action Coach Ghana. Back when it was the business name, in 2018 we were able to incorporate after we saw what was happening, because in 2014 it was just myself and Keon in the company. 2 persons. I was doing much of the coaching, he was doing the business development and training. By 2018, we had already gotten up to nearly 12 team members. And in 2015, when oil and gas happened, that really changed the dynamics, because so many companies started to come to Ghana. And those companies, unlike in 2014 for that year when Keon and I had to go talk to companies, hey, this is coaching and this is training and this is why it's so important. And those companies taking a lot of time. We have our awards coming up next Saturday. We have some companies who've been with us for 5 years. And they keep growing, and these are some of the biggest names in the country. But 5 years ago, nobody knew about them as well. Companies like Florida, which is now a household name. We have companies like Parker and Ellis, and you've seen the development that they've gone through as well. So there are many, many companies like GTN, who we do mainly training for as well. They continue to evolve as well. And it is about the investments that they're making in themselves. We then decided to incorporate, because this might be another lesson for businesses that are still under a business name registration. Big companies want to deal with other incorporated companies. They're very hesitant to deal with sole proprietorships, or where there's just one person in the company or one person owning the company, because in their mind, what if something happens to you? Right? Whereas the incorporated company is a separate legal entity, right? Separate ownership, it's transferable, and that is one of the things that caused us to do that. And at the same time, as we went to incorporation, we also pursued ISO 9001 compliance, first of all, because many people talk about certification and they want to have this race towards certification. I can guarantee you that if you're just going after certification only without really embedding the systems, making sure that they work, it's a surefire way to get disappointed, because when you get audited again and you couldn't keep up the standard, the worst thing that is certification taken away from you, right? And the auditors couldn't care less. The auditors have to make sure that you meet the standard. So what we did from 2018 to 2020 is we worked on becoming compliant, implementing it for 2 years straight to make sure, hey, the system really has to be working before we pursued certification and audit and then certification. And in 2020, we did become certified for training and coaching. Right? Around the world, we're the only action coach franchise that is actually ISO certified around the world in 85 countries, 1,200 offices. Because in most of the rest of the world, they're not undergoing what Guyana is currently undergoing. And these companies that are coming in, again, from the Exxon Mobils, to the Techniques, to the Halliburtons, they don't know Vishnu, they don't know Action Coach, they may not know your company name, but guess what they do? They do know what the ISO 9001 means. So, although we are still the same company, we're still delivering, what that tells them is that the company has gone through a third-party verification. Someone else from the outside came and said, yes, these people are doing what they need to do. And it gives them more confidence, it gives them more trust in what we deliver. What we also did is we said, okay, great. Many of the companies we work for started to ask for accreditation. Our initial clients couldn't care less about accreditation. Can you get us the results? If you train our people, will they get better? That was their only concern. But then the bigger companies, and especially when employees started to come directly to us, they started to ask a lot about accreditation. So we checked with both the NEC and the TPET Council, and what we do falls under TPET, Technical and Vocational Education and Training. Whereas NEC, National Accreditation Council, is for diploma and degree courses. So we fall more into this particular category where it's shorter courses, more geared at competency. And in just this year, we've been at this since 2017. It only took 4 years for us to become an educational institution as well. I think it's well worth it. All of us have to go through rigorous training. We're all competency-based trainers as well. And what that means is you can't let a student never graduates until they develop the competence. And you'll see that that's also a component of our learning management system. You'll keep it, you'll stay in that course forever. That's also what we've done. You have to start down the courses. Until you don't get the right answer, until you don't understand it, you stay in the course. And that is TPET. TPET is, we believe that people can develop, and people develop at different paces, right? When you went to secondary school, you had 1 year to get the CXC. Again, you could repeat and all of that. It's a fixed time frame. What our LMS does and what TPET does, it gives us more time to actually deliver. And this was also very important for the bigger companies. The bigger companies, and we never set out to work in the public sector. When we started off, our ideal clients that we could serve were medium-sized companies looking to become large, doing about 200 to 300 million in revenue. And they wanted to get to the million and over. That's ideal. That's where we really shine. We can get companies through that. We've done it with many, many companies. But then what started to happen now is the public sector started to ask, well, we need training in this, we need training in that. And although we had our compliance system, now we just put it in the package because we believe that everybody should be compliant. It's the law. And if you really want a society that works well, you have to comply with the laws. So make sure that this might also be a lesson to you. When you're presenting your company in this day and age, make sure that people know what your certifications are, your accreditations are, that you are compliant. You don't want them to have to go guess that. Apply for, now they give you year-long compliances. I think the GRA even has one now for 2 years that you can apply for. So that they don't, when you get the contract, then they tell you need to be compliant, then you're running around looking for compliances. So always make sure that you have them on hand. We've also had many partnerships with organizations. We work a lot with you, both in Trinidad and in Barbados, mainly with Reutech. So for the local center, for example, we deliver supply chain management courses, human resource management courses, and those are UE accredited courses. So anybody who then decides that they want to go to UE and they want to do a diploma or a degree can use those credits as well from the certificate courses. I think that's something that would be very important to people investing their money. If you invest your money and you also want a diploma or a degree, and you want whichever certificate you have to be of value, right? That it can contribute to your further education. And we do a lot of in-person, and due to COVID as well. We did virtual before COVID, but then through COVID, we really ended up doing a lot more virtual. We also use the Theatre Guild a lot. The Theatre Guild is right across the road. But we opened this facility here now. This is about the second month. So we have more space here now for training as well. It's more convenient for us. So our offices are right downstairs. And today, though, we're here to really talk about the LMS. And when we are thinking about how do we make sure that you understand the difference between the normal delivery and the LMS delivery, we thought, well, why not give you a taste of both? And can I just see the hands of the people here to get some education as well today? Because a lot education today. Anybody here just here for the snacks? Yeah, okay. I have some friends, right? These are the serious people. They know I didn't here with something. But I want to make sure you get both the education and we also get some networking done after. So we are launching the LMS with 144 courses. And we'll give you an overview of that very shortly. And it does include the Microsoft suite as well. Because many of us actually learned Microsoft by trial and error. We open Word and start typing in and we click this button. And we never really learned the full functionality of things like Office and Publisher and especially Excel. And I see some people who really study Excel and even self-study Excel. They are like the superstars in their organization with what they can do with data. And this is something that these courses are really, really good at. And Keon has some handouts for you. The handouts are going to be distributed now. Hopefully we have enough. We were expecting 20. We're just over 20. And we'll give you, Keon is going to give you a taste of what our learning management system, and this will be our analog kind. If you were to just call us and say, hey, I want to do a course in human resource management. And here, if you can please pull up the website. Whilst this is distributed, you can go to the website. No. Right, so if you are on the website, the easiest way to find out the courses that we have that are available is to go to the home page. And to anyone who hasn't downloaded the Venture app as yet, the QR code is right there. Anybody who hasn't as yet, please make sure you get that done. That's when we are looking at setting up the app. The cost for an app like this is about $5 million. And through the collaboration between the Charity Blair Foundation and ExxonMobil Foundation, the app is made available to Guyana for free. And the content is very similar if you had to go through an MBA, and it's done in such a simple, bite-sized way as well. But the best place to find all our courses is to go to training. You can see the entire range of what we do. Today, the focus is on training. We do a lot of soft skill and basic training as well. These are like half-day certificate courses. They run every Thursday from 1 to 4. Very easy, we usually recommend that every employee goes through that before, because in school they don't teach us communication, they don't teach us supervisory management. When we're doing CXE, they tell us that if you collaborate, they put you out of the class, right? But as soon as they want you in the workplace, they want you to collaborate. But at CXE, they call it cheating. So they teach us don't collaborate, but when we end up in the workplace, they tell us please collaborate. They didn't teach us how to do that. Right? So that works out really well there. And then we have the corporate training modules. And the easiest way you'll see is actioninvest.org/corporate training. And the entire list of training will pop up here. I haven't used Kiana's computer in a while. Kiana, how do you know? Good. And you'll find the entire 144 courses here. And let's say, for example, you wanted to you wanted to train your people in basic bookkeeping. All you do, you click on basic bookkeeping, and the entire course outline pops up here. And generally, this is 6 hours worth of core training. However, we're able to then bring this out into 2 days. Some companies want us to do an entire week where we don't just teach, we also have to run the practice sessions. But generally, they could be completed in a day. Then we have courses on human resources. And today, we're actually going to just take a look at the human resource management module. And we're going to take a look at module 3 actually. So Kian is going to take us through module 3, the interview process. And in your hands at the table there, you'll see the actual module 3 that is utilized when we do the training. And Kian is going to take you through this example, and then I'll also take you through it on the LMS itself. But the nice thing here is now, especially for HR managers, that you can just come to the website yourself and see exactly what the entire course outline is, what is going to be taught. And I think we also have a little bit of a demo on Excel. So you'll have areas like Excel Essentials, what is covered under Excel. You have Advanced, you have Word, Publisher. But this is an easy place for you to really find all that is available. And I think Kian told me, don't tell portions. There's a test at the end of this module. There is a test at the end of the module. So I'll hand you over to Kian, and he'll take you through this particular module as if you were in a normal training room. And then we'll take you through what it is like using the learning management system. Kian.
Thank you very much, Dr. Durga. And I know that when you were invited to the seminar today, did anybody think that you'd have had to come and go through a training session today? Plus with tests? No. But you're super excited, right? Well, okay. That's what excitement sounds like? Let's try this again. So you're super excited, right?
Yes.
Getting there. So our idea is to give you just a little sample of what the training looks like. And when Dr. Luke was talking, giving you a taste, I trusted and I pray that nobody actually did the handout. All right? Good. So module 3 is about recruiting and interviewing. And this is a very, very critical part of an organization's success. Because it's about getting the right people to join the organization so that they can continue to carry the objectives and by extension, assist the organization in achieving its strategic goals. Now, recruiting and hiring in our concept is 2 different things altogether. Hiring in our concept is when somebody, you put out a vacancy, they send an application, you have to go through the process. Recruiting is an entire process that sometimes encompasses you going and looking for talent. Because the talented people, they're not sitting at home in front of your televisions doing nothing. They're actually working at other places. So it's up to us, especially as HR-related business owners, we need to be able to spot talent. And very often, some persons don't necessarily do really well when it comes to the actual interview, but based on your research as an individual, you might find skills and or expertise that you didn't know actually existed. So the job selection process goes through these steps. Starts first of all from job analysis, and this is being able to first of all determine what role needs to be filled within the organization, and then what knowledge, skills, and attitude the person needs to come with. Now, once you have the role outlined, we understand that you need to look at the person's academic background. And one of the most important things that we say to hire on is to hire on attitude. Because skills can be trained, skills can be taught. But someone's attitude, being 20 years, 30 years of acting and behaving the same way, is something that we cannot change in a day. So it's very important for us to be able to test the attitude of our recruits. And we do this in so many different ways. In some cases, when the recruit comes, we have them sit and then have our sanitation officer just pass the room by their feet to see their reaction. Yes, very, very strange and unorthodox. or you offer them something to test their mannerism. Because sometimes when people don't believe they're being observed, their natural behavior comes out. When you're sitting in that room with you during the interview, they are prim, proper, and ready to impress. How many of you, when you went to your interviews, you studied everything about the company, read everything you could have read, and then after that, you couldn't get you to read a book? Please raise your hand. Sorry, I'm not going to tell anybody anything. It stays here. Yes, it happens, right? So we want to make sure that we really confirm what is going to be the essence of the job that we're actually recruiting for. Then we move on to our recruiting process. Now, in that process, it starts from identifying where are we going to get our candidates from. It is important, because you understand who you want to hire, is to determine where do these candidates congregate? Where can I find them? Because that helps you to narrow your search effectively. In fact, sometimes those candidates might actually be working at another organization given the limit of our current job market. And we've all seen the booms in Guyana. First, it was the gold mining industry that took a lot of the talent from Georgetown, including the excavator operators, etc. When it was the mining boom, everybody ran to the interior. When the hotel started to develop, Princess, Mars, etc., they pulled a lot of team members from existing hotels. Places like Pegasus suffered, Van Coastal suffered, and other smaller hotels. Now we have the oil and gas industry. And we are seeing every single day that as more and more companies come to Guyana, they are pulling talent from these current organizations. While we want to do it in the most professional manner, it is something that we still need to consider. So as HR professionals, we need to keep in mind that we need to make sure that we can keep our team members. When it comes to recruiting, how do we actually go after them? We want to make sure that we filter our candidates. And keep in mind that you may have hundreds of applications coming in for a job position. There are different ways you can filter the candidates. One, based on your current criteria, your roles and responsibilities and requirements that you have in terms of educational background, experience, etc. That is one of the filters. You can then filter them by using other psychometrics. We would use the DISC assessment. For those who work with us, they understand what that actually means. Because we want to make sure that we find the right candidate to fill in the right position. For those who understand this, if you want somebody in sales, you will need to understand the style, the behavior style that person needs to be. If you have somebody who's not outgoing, very reserved, and you put them in a sales function, you are giving that person a jail sentence. They're not going to last very long if they get a job in the first place. All right? So filtering is very important. When it comes to our interview process, it's important for us to have a structured way in which we're interviewing, and we're going to go through that shortly. Then we move on to selection. And when we're selecting, this involves doing our reference checks on our candidates to make sure that the person didn't have any skeletons in their closets when they're coming over to you. In this particular section, especially if the person is now applying and they're still employed, it is important to ask the person's permission before you reach out to their current employer. Because you might go do your reference check, the person not guaranteed that they're getting the job, and you've caused them the job. So you want to make sure that you have that ironed out. And then of course, how do you make sure you go through your orientation process and it's mapped out? How many of you have your orientation process mapped out, systemized? 2. Good, room for improvement. And of course, how do you make sure you retain your team members? And especially with retention, given what is happening, it's important that we do all that we can to make sure that we keep our team members. When it comes to getting good at the interview process, it's about one, being prepared, which means understanding the position that you're interviewing for and you build your interview questions around that position. Sometimes when persons are interviewing, they may ask questions that are totally unrelated to the job. Now, they may be a method to that they may be using, but it's also important for you to be a bit more specific so you can really determine the competency and fit for that person and the position that you're applying for. And it's important as the interviewer for you to always maintain control over the interview process. The timings of the interview, how long should the interview last for, how are you scheduling your candidates to arrive at the interview process. When it comes to interviewing fairly, you first have to be very mindful with our biases, because those might come out in our body language. Now, when somebody is sitting down in front of you, sometimes you may have some kind of bias against the person, either because you might have heard something about them before, and that can come out in your body language. In addition, when the candidate is sitting in front of you, it is important for you to read, but don't misread their body language. Very often, when people sit with their hands full, we think that they're disconnected or they're closed off. It may not necessarily be the case. It could be that that person is so nervous that that is the only way they can hold themselves together. So we can't have to be starting, don't allow that to bias our interviewing process, and make sure that we can read body language effectively. We need to be aware of the influences around us. And very often when we're interviewing, especially depending on how a person is stressed, how the person speaks, we sometimes can be influenced in one way or another. The person might be gifted technically, but is not able to speak in a manner that you would like them to speak. And sometimes that sways our decision. Or the person could be well dressed and good looking, and we believe that they're intelligent and they're going to do the job really well. I mean, it worked really well for me. I mean, the good looking part, yeah, but I also was able to back it up. We have to be mindful of the halo effect as well. This is when it comes to hiring an individual. This particular effect is very, very important. Sometimes we allow the innocence of the person to cloud our judgment. Who's that your turn? You were held up to you? Thought you were sharing the example. And when it comes to the established criteria, we sometimes tend to judge candidates against the last person that we interviewed versus what we have already established as our interviewing criteria. So if Hilton came in, Hilton was well dressed, well poised, bad looking, really rough around the edges, and he spoke really well. The next candidate that came in probably might have been Vishnu. Wasn't as well dressed as Hilton, didn't look as sharp, had hair, but not so well. No, let's say he's still bald. And the person has something against bald-headed people. And he would start assessing Vishnu against Hilton, instead of assessing Vishnu against the established criteria they have for the interviewing process. When doing that, we want to make sure that we have job-related questions and ask person questions that allows them to speak around the topic versus giving you a yes or no answer. Very important. So we ask them what we call open-ended questions. And that's a very popular one. So, they would have to ask you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Oh, yeah.
For in 5 years, I see myself as very successful.
You guys can hear her? They can't hear you.
Just kidding. In 5 years, I see myself as a very successful businesswoman and a major part of the company that I keep.
Fantastic. So HR recruits to do hire her based on that response? The silence is no. Alright? But it's important when we're articulating our question that we not only work in our personal goal, because as a recruiter, like I said, from my perspective, I love to see where do you want to go personally, and then how does that align with the organization of the job that you're currently doing. So you have people who have a total disconnect between what they study and what they want to pursue as a career. We want to make sure that we have structured scoring, so we have a scoring sheet that allows us to look individually, and then we come together and compare those responses, so that we can then judge the person objectively rather than subjectively. Questions? Please get out to your turn to the last page. Just get some questions to respond to. And question number 1 and number 2, please circle your answer.
Just as we're starting that, I've also recently learned a couple of years now. There's also power in asking closed-ended questions, right? Just ask a question where the only answer is either a yes or a no, because then you'll understand that the person can actually shut up. Because, and if you've ever asked somebody, ask them, what do you like working in your shop? And all you needed was a yes or a no, but the person went yes, and then in 5 minutes you just why. And then you're out of your questions because the person couldn't answer yes or no. And if a person does that there, they might also do it in the actual workplace. Never give you a straight answer or never does give you a closed-ended question.
Good. Question number 1 and 2. Thank you very much, Bob. Question number 3 and 4. You should be running through these questions. You guys are brilliant in that kind of most arguments. Questions number 5 and 6. So 7 and 8. And finally, 9 and 10. Yeah. So just my question is going through. So you have about 2 more minutes. Lock this RPA, so give it 2 more minutes. One minute remaining.
It's open book, right? You can always.
No, they can't.
They can't. Okay, no, Kian they can't go back.
Should not
Collaborate.
You're testing your potential.
No collaboration.
Fifteen seconds. 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Pens down. Please exchange your handouts. Should not mark your own handout. Exchange your handout. Some of you played were smart. You didn't write anything because you waited for the answer. Exchange your handouts. So, all right. Let's make sure that you don't have your own handout. I know that you're men and women of integrity, so I trust you. All right. Somebody else exchange your handouts? Good. You guys ready? You guys ready? Anybody has their own handout? Excellent. So please mark the answers. Question number 1, recruiting and interviewing focuses on attracting and selecting the right applicants for the job. Please mark your partner's sheet. Question number 2, the following is not a step in the job selection process, which is job participation. Everybody's finished? All right. So C and C. Good. Questions number 3 and 4. Filtering candidate entails attracting the right candidate, a structured formal interview, interviewing every candidate, not interviewing every candidate. So the answer is D, not interviewing every candidate. Number 4, the following is a part of the model for an efficient interview. You want to make sure that you prepare, design, and then interview the person. The answer is B. Good, excellent. Getting there. Questions number 5 and 6. Design is best defined as making sure you have ample time and questions available. And number 6, the following statement is true with regards to bias. When someone is perceived as attractive, they're perceived as more intelligent and sociable. That's me. Questions number 7 and 8. When interviewing, one should be aware of stereotypes and biases to avoid them. That is the answer. And question number 8, the following statement is false. During the interview, ask as many questions as possible. Interview questions must lead to bias. Close questions are best when interviewing potential candidates. All of the above are false. Finally, 9 and 10. The interviewer should be trained in both A and C, which is listening and questioning. And number 10, which of the following is a common question which can be improved? The answer is C.
Where it has to be Western America, it's supposed to be bad.
Yes. So it's our LMS coordinator.
I signed it off like our teacher used to sign it off.
So if the person did well, 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10, you look at the smiley face and the signature is date. Please put the scores on the sheets. Put the score at the top. And once you're finished, please return the handout to the person. All right. Those who got 10 out of 10, please raise your hand. From the audience who've been invited to this session today, those who got 10 out of 10, please raise your hand. Sure. 9 out of 10. 8 out of 10. Please give a round of applause. Oh, 7 out of 10. All right. That is a malnourished round of applause. I've never heard something like that in my life. Let's give a proper round of applause to those persons, please. Thank you. So to the 8 out of 10 persons, please come down to the front, and the 7 out of 10. Please come down to the front.
This is the price of rent.
And then ask Dr. to please hand over the prizes.
I thought it was coming to fun. One.
Our designated photographer,
Pen protectors.
that's correct. Protector of knowledge, finance, and growth. All right, now a round of applause like if you had say line. Please give a round of applause.
That's the same background.
Thank you very much for participating. Doc, over to you.
So what you notice with that training, and again, Keon condensed that is 1 hour of training into basically 20 minutes. Because really it takes about an hour to go through this specific module in its entirety. You have a bit of a discussion, people ask questions and all of that. So anybody who's scored less than 7 will do that. It takes more discussion to make it sink in. But what we just wanted to do is to make sure that you got an appreciation of the in-class type of arrangement. And then to also understand the learning styles, right? Because there are four main learning styles. People learn with their eyes. Right? So one of the things you're seeing here on, you're seeing the screen, you're also seeing the handout. So all of that is visual stimulation. Then we have auditory. Auditory is the listening. Everything that comes to your ears by sound. So in this case, it's Keon's voice, but also the voices at the table. So some people learn really, really fast by just seeing stuff. If they see it, it's enough. They kind of understand what's going on. Some people learn by hearing. And people like this, they actually don't need to look at you to learn. They once they hear it, and you might sometimes even think this person's looking at you. They're not paying attention, but they heard every single word you said. Those are called auditory learners. Then we have people who learn by reading. If it's not black and white, they don't believe it. The only way they will believe that something is true if you send them the article or you send them the paper or it comes in an email. Once they see it there, that's when they actually take it in and believe that it is true. And then we have kinesthetic. So this is learning by doing. So only when you actually take a pen and you start playing and you're underlining stuff, or we do a role play, because in the full training, everybody will test for that, have to do role plays. You have people who only learn really fast by doing. When they do it, that's when they get it. That's why you could actually have people in organizations, you've been showing them forever. You've been talking to them forever, you send them all the manuals, and they still doesn't get through it. 5 minutes you do it to them, and they say, oh, this is what you meant. Why you didn't say that? You've been saying it a year now. But they are kinesthetic learners. They learn by doing. And globally, the chart is actually like this. The chart is actually like this. Most people are either very visual learners or learning by doing. The higher up in the organization, as we test them, we've tested probably over 1,000 people in Ghana already. Mid and upper level management, we have a lot of visual learners. And then mid level to down, we have a lot of people who are learning by doing. It's sometimes also the reason why they don't progress in organizations too fast, because these people, they see it, they observe somebody doing something, they already feel like, hey, I know to do this thing, I can go do it. These people, if somebody doesn't take them by the hand, or if they don't get the time to actually practice it, they don't have the confidence to step up to the next level. Our lowest one in Ghana is auditory. Don't learn by listening too well. But we have so many meetings that we keep talking to each other. It's not our favorite way. And then learning by reading is also extremely low in Ghana. Every so often you find an anomaly. And guess what this anomaly says? I send them the paper, I send them this, I send them this document, I send them the email, but nobody reads it. But I already know from the way they talk, they are learning by reading because that's how they learn. That's how they get their information. They're basically giving it to everybody else, and nobody else responds to it. Right? You want somebody like this, put everything in one slideshow, or you get it. Or find a picture that represents the thing that you want, or send them a video. You send them a video, very quickly they can get to understand that concept. So what Keon just did was to help you understand. Let me go to the website. So what he did was to help you understand what it feels like to actually do in-class learning. Now for the learning management system, I'm sure I got it here. That one, this one. Keon, did you move around the things? Keon moved around the stuff. Let's put them in order. So I took you to the website a little bit earlier. If you ever want to get straight into our learning management system, so from training, you can usually go to corporate training. Once you click on that, this page opens. And to get into the LMS, it's the first button that you get there. Once you press that button, it takes you straight to the LMS. Once your company or yourself, once you have been assigned a course, you'll get a welcome email. And you just click on it, and it allows you to log in with your email and the password. And in this case, the same course that we just went through was actually assigned to me as well. So human resource management, I can resume the course. Hopefully it's bigger now. Good. And the same way that the course, and you see you got pages, what is it, 10 to 16 or something, or 12 to 16. Everything is also laid out in the same way. So if we were to go down and we're looking for module 3 that Keon just dealt with, retention and orientation, then you can see the courses listed here. And everything is in bite-sized pieces. So the same concepts that Keon just mentioned to you are in very bite-sized pieces that you can understand, and then it starts allowing you to understand the difference between an orientation and an encounter, the role of human resources, the role of managers, and then you end up with the quizzes that you have to go through in order to make sure that you understand the concepts. So it is very much, even if you think about your venture act, it's very much as well in those bite-sized pieces that you can easily follow along. And Divya was very nice to actually do some recordings for us. So let's see how the recordings go. These are some of the main benefits. And again, everyone is going to get a copy of this presentation as well. So all the training, 144 courses in one place. And what we can also do for your companies, we can actually also capture your training, put it in the LMS so that you can actually, we can make you an admin in our system and you can issue your training out of the system. So if you have like special training for people who have to sell products to service stations, for example, we could capture all that training, throw it in the same system with your videos and everything, and then you just issue it. And you can actually see how your people are progressing through. And you can also set a pass mark. Right? So right now the system is set at 70%. In Ghana, we can go as low as 50% according to TVEM, but we've set it to 70%. But if you have a very stringent program, like we do work for the UN pass mark is 85. If we don't pass 85, we have to do the course that it has 85. So that depends on you. If you have something that's really, really stringent, you can set a very high pass mark. So the course you can't pass until they don't get it. Until they don't, they must get it before they can actually pass. And if you have the capacity in-house to do SCORM packages, so SCORM is basically the training I just showed you. It was created in a program that creates the SCORM package that we can then upload into our LMS. So if you have that in-house, even easier, then the cost goes down significantly. But if you have to capture it and put it in the format, then there is a cost involved with that. They also get digital certificates, and I'll show you an example of what that looks like. We have a quick demo.
Welcome to ActionINVEST Caribbean Inc.'s Learning Management System. On the screen, you'll see our login page. Welcome to ActionINVEST Caribbean Inc.'s Learning Management System. On the screen, you'll see our login page where you'll be required to input your email address and password, which will be issued to you by us. Once you've inputted this information, you can go ahead and click Welcome to ActionINVEST Caribbean Inc.'s Learning Management System. On the screen, you'll see our login page where you'll be required to input your email address and password, which will be issued to you by us. Once you've inputted this information, you can go ahead and click on Login. Once you're logged in, you'll be taken to a dashboard which has your training plan. Here, you will see all the courses that you are currently enrolled in. As you can see on the screen, in this example, I've been enrolled in Employee Onboarding, which is currently in progress. Once you click on the course, you'll have the option to either start or resume. In this case, I'll be resuming the course. If you click on the course, you'll be able to see an overview as well as the modules that the course has. Each course has a different amount of modules as well as a post-assessment. Once I click on resume course, here you'll see an idea of how the courses are structured. As well, on the left-hand side, you have a progress bar that shows you your percentage of the course that has been completed, as well as the modules list, and finally, your post-assessment at the end. I trust that this gives an idea of how the courses are structured.
And then I think we have a brief video as well on how the Excel
the entire Microsoft Office Suite Essential courses. As you can see on the screen, I've been enrolled into the Excel 2016 Essentials course. One of the particularly outstanding features of this module are the video lessons. As I hit the Resume Lesson button, you'll see the introductory video for Module 1 of the Excel 2016 Essentials course.
Welcome to Excel 2016 Essentials. Get ready to improve your core data analysis, data manipulation, and data presentation skills by learning the core skills needed to succeed with Microsoft Excel 2016.
There we've just watched a welcome video. As we navigate to the left-hand side, you'll see all the modules in the different videos.
A blank workbook allows you to start from scratch. When you first open Excel, you can select a blank workbook to start. You can also select a blank workbook by selecting the File tab to open the Backstage view, then select the New tab.
The videos also have visual cues that allow you to do this course while implementing what you've practically learned on another device with Excel open.
So whilst you have the LMS open, you can open Excel as well, but the course also has very easy click in different parts of Excel in the same LMS to see how Excel will then function. And all other Microsoft courses as well. But it really allows you to practice and see, well, okay, this is how it works, and you can always retake the course as well if you want to get more clarity.
Our learning man.
Now, the layout, you see what you've done. The layout is very, very easy. There's nothing that you can really go wrong with. One place to log in, any courses that have been assigned to you either directly by us, or the bigger companies may want for us to set up an admin for them, that they could go into the system and they can issue as they like and they can do the tracking. That's also possible. If you are an admin, your system will have a lot more functionality. But what we've learned, especially with the company that we're working along with to make sure that it's very user-friendly, they've taught us to keep it simple. Because whenever they activate too many features, then it will go everywhere except actually finishing the courses that need to be finished. I have a snapshot of employee onboarding. And you can always see an overview. What we've also found, even for our own teams, we do a lot of recruiting with NSB. We have a lot of recruitment courses in there. You can actually assign people the courses that they can then go straight to the areas that they want more support on. So some people don't just use this as a course to get past, they just use it as, hey, I need to set up a trade test. They can go to the trade test section and just review again how to properly set up the trade test. So you can also use it for that purpose. Currently, this is what the certificates look like. It does have our registration number for us as an educational institution, and also our ISO certificates. Every course can, if you do it really fast, right, you just go non-stop and go as fast as you can probably finish the course in just under 2 hours. Make one of the records downstairs is about 1 hour and 54 minutes. Every educational credit means 15 minutes of education. So for people like any of you are accountants, like accountants and lawyers and doctors, every year they have to have a minimum amount of continuing professional education credits. This here now allows you every single course that you pick is 2 credits. So we'll also be talking directly to these organizations because that's something that we can offer them directly for them to maintain their professional qualifications. And doctors, lawyers, and accountants, right? The rest of us should also be doing that in our own respective fields. But on completion, once you hit the pass mark, the certificate of completion automatically gets reduced. You have it immediately in your hands there. And if you're controlling the system on behalf of your company, you'll get a notification saying this student has passed this course with this mark here. And you can also print their report of all the courses they've done to put in their HR file, or you'll also have access to print their certificate if you want to. Or you just keep everything in the same system. So at any point in time, you have to review staff, you log in, you can see all the training that they've done. And you can also determine when you're doing their training and development plan, what's next for them, what do they need to get better at. And then you can assign the training plan for them. And you can issue 5, 10, 15 courses, depending on the training plan that you have laid out for them. This slide was not supposed to be this particular training. However, today we were actually able to turn on our solar system. So we're now officially, as far as I know, the first training facility that's completely solar powered. Right? So this is something we've been working on for a while. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, and I would like to encourage you as well to take a look at this. We've been looking at it for a while. Do we do batteries? Do we do straight solar? And you can see the meter on top here. So GPL actually came and switched it out today. So we can actually see how much power we generate, how much we set back into the grid. Hopefully soon they have legislation that will actually pay us for the power that we put into the grid. But at the moment we're using it's a 10 kilowatt system, and it also allows us to cut down our carbon footprint. So it's also something that I thought would happen today, because we're going online, less pollution, less, we actually don't need the room as much. But even when we do need the room to do it in person, it is still being done in an environmentally friendly way. Right, so we've worked with many companies over the past 7 years, from the very large companies, government entities, medium-sized companies, a lot of medium-sized companies as well. And our goal is to also be able to, for those of you we haven't worked with, to work with you as well. But also those of you who we have worked with to continue developing our offerings to you to make sure that we keep it at times as well. We don't want to be in a situation where you want learning management courses and we can't offer it. Many companies, we've used it too much as an example, but we're very thankful for the collaboration that we've had with GTN over the many years. But a company like GTN can easily put 10 or 15 or 20 people into a course. There are many companies who have 2 salespeople, or 3 accountants, or just the HR or the support. It's very tough for them to put those 2 people or 3 people in a course for one of our trainers to work with them. Now they have an option, and it's at a fraction of the cost as well. Every module, and if anybody wants to know the price for the modules, every module is 20,000, and for our existing clients, it will actually be issued at 50% of cost, so 10,000 for any module. And but today, anybody who would like to test any of the courses as well, and we'll throw up the list after this as well. Here we can pull that up. This is the last slide. We'll also issue you at a 50% off so that you can test it out. And there's nothing wrong with if you want, buy a course and have multiple people test it out. The only problem is that whatever name you gave us, that's going to be a certificate. And that's we already been testing it out for the past month with many companies. So they told us that the whole company's been doing this thing. So I said, we don't mind. It's good, right? People get to learn more, but the problem is that the only the person who it was issued to their names have the certificate. But we also have access to that. We've done our best to keep the costs very low, because even if you go to Coursera and Khan's Academy and all those places, we still have courses ranging from $50, $100, $200, $300. But this year we get a certificate, and in Guyana our certificates, when employers also see our certificates, they know that people have gone through the course, And the final benefit that I'll share with you today is that we'll definitely give you visual through the LMS. We'll give you audio, the visuals playing and all that. Reading, camera, which is what it's not to read. Kinesthetic, we're not with you where you are. And some people will be doing this at their desk. Some people will be doing it on their phone. Wherever you do it, we're not there with you. So it's just follow. But what we're doing in order to create that interaction is that anyone who participates in the course will be placed in a WhatsApp group that we're creating for the LMS system that you get. At the moment we're debating it, that's like support. As long as WhatsApp exists, we'll keep supporting it. Right? So you have questions, you're able to drop it in here. And what the benefit also is that other people are in the group is already there, where there are people in it. They will also answer if the discussion happens, and I find it's a good place for networking because every so often someone drops something about, hey, we do this in our business, and then you see everybody's asking about it. So you also have that spin-off benefit. But we will provide support in that group. So it's not as if we don't have the interaction. Right? Something you don't want I see people doing, they take a snapshot and they're studying on their phone. It works really well on your mobile device as well. So you don't pay staff, you don't have to go set up a computer or give them a laptop or show on their regular smartphone. They can do any of these courses as well. But no, you don't have to go provide us support. We'll be providing the support, and we find them sending snapshots. What is this? Or I thought it was this answer. Why is it this answer? And then we'll respond because we have the answers to the questions. We can give them different case studies. We can let them know how it applies in our context. So all of that is provided. It is provided Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. That's what we can guarantee. But I know Kian can't help himself when he sees a question at night. I see Kian answering it at night as well, or a friend might answer at night, that's fine. But that's how we plan to also make sure that you still get it in the second part. That you still have another human being to work along with you on the you. I want to encourage you not to use that, not to abuse it. Abusing meaning, I'm not going to do this exam, and I don't want to fail, so I'm going to ask this question, so I get the right answer, so I'll ask this exam in the high school. It's more when you go, hey, why is this? Or how is this? Why is this thing saying that this is the answer? Or I believe it should be this. So it's a creative interaction. So we're down to Q&A. So any takeaways, any questions? What's the easiest way to do this again? I did. So should we have the tables discussed by themselves first? What do you think? Discuss it at the table of the options. What are the advantages, disadvantages? And then pick a spokesperson for your group to share what your table thinks about it. It will also give us the feedback of what we need to do. What did you like? What don't you like? What do you think is really needed? And then we'll do a quick round of tables. We have about 4 minutes, so maybe you can pick a group name as well to make it exciting. Let's see how creative you can get. Remember, the presenter is going to tell us what the group likes, what the group thinks needs to be improved, and any other comment.
Yeah,
2 minutes to go.
About 30 seconds more. Five, four, three, two, one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go. All right, table names and spokesperson. Who's going to start first? Good, excellent. All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dudes and dudettes, class tempo. The name of your table and you know the one student in the class that is our the name of your table. You didn't find a name. That's a good name. I love that. All right, good.
We didn't find a name. We all come together. For us, okay, none of us are trying to work out, so in terms of disadvantages, we really cannot give that feedback. For us, we all think that it's a good opportunity in terms of the fact that you have a wide range of different skills that people get. Some of our organizations is that not all of us are inclined to learn or can do that. So maybe one or two of the management team can do it and then assemble the information in a smaller way or a more concise way that your team members can understand. In that, in terms of it, it's also you can learn at your own pace. It's not that you're just made to finish in 2 days, 3 days. So that's basically what we did.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll come around, seeing as we started there. Blue clock? Okay. Blue clock.
Very good initiative and something that was needed by we consider the pricing which was pretty fair given the market fact funding. We had two queries, which was that we have expert system ourselves. Is this something that we have to sign up for under a company or individual, just clarify it, as well as for the technical skills. We have engineering firms, so they're very technical. However, he's looking at how the soft skills, which we all need in every organization, that will be present. But just in case we do have a program that will be
Thank you very much. And for the LMS, you can register both as a company and as an individual. So any course that you want to do, just reach out and let us know. And we can manage that for you from our side. It's you, of course. For the bigger companies, if you have a HR department, a training department, and you like to manage a specific set of courses, we can assign those to you as well, so you can listen to your team members. And for the engineering company, soft skills is definitely needed because we are moving away from just managing people and resources to now leading people. So soft skills is important. And I can tell you, knowing our company, technical skills will probably soon be a part of the LMS. I'm not even looking in any direction. I'm telling you it's going to be a part of the LMS. How we're going to do it, we will make sure that you know as soon as possible when it will be ready. Not if it come in, when it will be ready.
So I just want to add to that, we're working on the Shopify integration as well, so that people can go right to our website and purchase it with them before they want. But we also really want to make this accessible to companies because every day we get calls, can we do this, can we do that, but we only have 2 people, 3 people. So we also want to pre-qualify companies that they'll just get an account, they can issue how much they want for the whole month, and then we invoice them at the end of it. So that you don't want to tie it up to you must buy 3 or you must buy 10 or you must buy 100. Whatever they issue for the month, they get one invoice a week of the month. But also it's even like trading on credit to that respect as well. And
Trading and credit with the goods.
trading on credit. And on the technical side, we are looking at, so we could add any score package to the module. We could buy the module that add it on, or we can make the module. What I really want to experiment with is like coming to your company, capture your specific training content, and we've done it before. It takes like 2-3 days to capture the content, build the course, and then upload the course. Now it becomes, it's only your company. So you'll either pay a fee to make it and then upload it, or you charge a fee every time you want to issue it on. So we have to, or you actually have to work on which one is cheaper or which one is more beneficial. But I think there's a lot of scope for that because again, we do some things differently. Right? Like a lot of the international courses, people tell me about setting up a recurring credit card payment. Doesn't exist yet in Canada. So we actually have to talk about the payment options that we do have in Canada.
MMG.
Right. So that's, and I know that we're working on something like that on a different platform, but that's very good questions.
Good. Thank you.
Keep a good luck.
First of all, our team would like to congratulate ActionINVEST for this initiative. And the name of our team is Investors. And some of the questions were already answered, and I will still go ahead and answer. So one question in our is how many modules are there for course? That's one. And the other question is, if when registered I do not pass the course, what do I continue to pay or I get to do the course until I get passed? Okay.
We would love to continue to pay for the we appreciate that really much. At the moment, we haven't set it up that way. You can continue adapting because it is part of the competency-based education model that you have to keep practicing because just like anything else, like when you have an employee before, so they make mistakes. There's no force to enforce any mistakes. You have to keep going at it, and there's no charge until you pass. That's one. And then the modules are generally 12 modules. Generally, there are some that are like 6 modules, but then the modules themselves are bigger. But in general, it's 12 modules. There are 144 courses with, on average, 12 modules to each course. And for all 144, we can do them online, or we could do them in person, like what Kian demonstrated for you.
Thank you very much, team investors.
Good afternoon. I see, so we've decided that since we're the only red tablecloth, we are the red team. So, like, the platform itself seems quite relatively nice and interactive. You can tell that a lot of times spent in, like, cultivating that thing. You know, keep it simple, keep it easy to use. Yeah, you know, that's really, really nice. The challenge is though, like for some of these courses, it's like prior knowledge required. So like we saw actually from the introductory session for Excel, it starts from the very, very base, but there are some courses listed there from the outline that, it doesn't require prior knowledge. Another question that we have is that, so the option to skip ahead is there, right? I'm assuming that. But is there like a checkpoint test? So in some platforms that I've used before, when you come to the end of that module, you get a quick 10 question check. And if you fail, you go back or you Scout's honor, and go ahead. Another thing too is, are the tests timed? Because in the session here, and I appreciate that for the condensation of it fitting into the session overall, the tests that we have were timed. But are these tests timed? Those are our questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. So today we set it up as the default setting is that you can skip form.
Okay.
But today, because we picked module 3 to demonstrate with you, because going back to your very first question, you need basic secondary education as a minimum qualifier for almost all the basic courses. When it says advanced, then you need the prerequisite before you can do the advanced. But you'll see the difference where it's prerequisite and where it's advanced. So secondary education is needed. We've had people who don't have secondary education, but they don't read it, and they're able to do a lot of the very basic courses on soft skills, behavioral intelligence, things like that. But for the purposes of today, we turn off the default that you could just skip ahead. We can turn it on, and we also turn off the timer for the test, but we can also turn on the timer. So it's because we control the back end of the software. We're able to do a lot of things. And you might even have some ideas that you want for your company that we can easily put in place as well. But what we want to do moving forward is if a company tells me we want to use this for more as a resource than training, they might actually want to skip ahead function. Because if they want to start to quickly, hey, how do you do this thing? They must want to skip ahead in the course other than going through it. But it's completely customized. Did I answer also?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Red team.
All right, again, so team 4. So no real demerits. I mean, without using the platform, it's really hard to sit and through it. But we have something similar called form, and I think the features and benefits will be kind of the same. We found with the demonstration, we will assemble 4 key points to talk about affordability, flexibility, the ability to customize based on it has basic tools from what I can tell. And coming off of the comments around red team, I think there's an absolute need to, instead of just moving ahead with some of the more advanced courses, for example, basic Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, those are really essential courses, and it takes you back to the fundamental. All things equal, we think it's a good initiative, good platform altogether. One question from the team would be around on the end form, there's the ability not to move away from the screen or switch to another screen and just be distracted elsewhere. Is that ability available on this one, or is it a switch on and off?
So we haven't set up that tracking yet, because that's the camera tracking feature for one, and then also the you'll activate access to your desktop so that the software will actually track to see if you're opening and closing windows. So for the software that we have set up, we thought it was a little too intrusive. Because if you're going to pay through all of that, then we would want companies to use it, but then some people might not want to do that. So it could be done, but we haven't set it up for this particular software to do that level of tracking. It's really meant for people who understand the need to develop themselves, and also, I know that the companies want their people to develop. That's why we rather use set like high pass marks or clear all that way to get them to encourage them. And you can always, when you log in with your backend, you see who started, you see which date, you see how much time they've done. You will see all of that tracking in there. We just haven't taken it up to the stage to actually also track high movement and track opening and closing of windows.
Actually, I have one question. My old company, we had a platform similar to this that did training. And one of the things they did, you know how these courses get repetitive. So let's say you would fill the course with prerequisite market platform. It allows you to start the course again, the same questions come in the same order. So your course allow for that shifting. This is where we're smart with retention will keep, and then we keep the point over training. Because it allows for us to randomize those questions. It's actually big about it, just randomize.
They did as well. And that was one of the questions that we were working with the programmers on to see if we can randomize it. Also, if it is done, why we asked, we actually asked the same reason you asked. We asked for if a company was putting 10 people in at the same time. To randomize the questions there because it has a big data bank. Right? So that instead of all of you doing 10 of the same questions just now, if it was in the LMS, everybody here would have had a different mix or even in a different order. So you can be sitting side by side and looking at the same answers as well. So it is a feature as well that could be utilized.
There's a question.
Yeah. So
Thank you guys very much. Team 4. All right. Any final questions or comments before we wrap up today?
I would like to say that everyone would have the opportunity. We have your information as well. We'll send you the link to the entire listing. You can pick and give you offer stats. Anybody participating will get 50% off, so that you can see the benefits of how the system works. And again, we have so much opportunity in improving it, changing it, adding more. So if you see ways in which you want to do it, then we're very open to collaborate. Because many companies, I can understand GTFE, they can afford to do this for themselves, but many companies really think that instead of them having the capital investment, the investment to do this, they can just redo it and then they just pay a user. So that's one of the ideas from the also. And again, we use it for our trading. So our whole email has trading plans all in the same software. So it also benefits us. And much time you guys for taking the time out to be here with us this afternoon. We really wanted to get started with having people have a sense of what it is all about. And we do want to actually say the network there are some refreshments. We're going to refreshments and please make sure that we meet each other as well. Those of you who have only 8 flags, you still have an opportunity to get some more. Thank you very much, Steve.